Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing the Silent Shaft. Now, you may have remember from yesterday that I mentioned that my subconscious was clearly playing up and was wanting me to feature another full deck and missing a few cards puzzle, essentially to recover from my butchered solve. So we have yet another one from full deck and missing a few cards to enjoy today. Really looking forward to it. The Silent Shaft, very aptly named, you'll understand once I actually bring up today's puzzle, which I should do straight away. I mean, why delay it? That's going to be the best part of it. Silent Shaft, full deck missing few cards, following rules, standard Sudoku, arrow, and German whispers. And if you know what all of that means, well, link in the description down below for you to play. And if you don't, well, let me just walk you through these three. First one, I'm hoping everybody knows. Standard Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and then every 3 by 3 box. Then we've got, of course, the arrows. So digits along an arrow must sum to the number indicated in the circle from which the arrow emerges. So, for example, if these two cells are 1 and 6, on this arrow, they add up to 7, and therefore this is what I need to place inside the circle. Fairly straightforward. And that would be the same for all of these arrows. Whatever these three cells are, their sum will be inside this circle. Next, we've got German whispers, of course. Adjacent digits along a German whisper line must differ by at least 5. So if this cell is a 2, for example, this would have to be 7, 8, or 9 to be 5 or more away. Now, had this line been longer, as is the case in some of these, so if I just fake the fact that this line continues, well, this cell would also have to be 7, 8, or 9 to be 5 or more away. And then you oscillate between high digits, 6, 7, 8, 9, low digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, essentially around the 5, but never including the 5. There is an additional comment here. Clarification: in case cosmetics render poorly on your device, none of the arrows intersect. They don't seem to, for me at least. As always, link in the description down below for you to play. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. If I can add a marker for the time, and we start. So, most obvious places to start. And you can see in my intro, I try to avoid looking at these German whisper lines so I don't give the game away. 3-cell arrow that includes at least 2 different polarity. So the minimum this can be is a 6, for example. And therefore, to fit within a single digit, a 9 being the maximum, these cells are going to have to be low. This is going to be high. Obviously, if I went the other way around, this would be double 6, that's already at 12. With a 1 in the middle, that's already at 13. I'm not going to fit it into a single cell. So definitely low. And then obviously I'm oscillating back and forth between highs and lows, and I can probably, I'll repeat it in here since I've got the same logic applying on this end. Now, notice when I said something about, this is at least a 6. The thing is, if I go for anything higher, a 7, even if these are, no, never mind, I was about to say even if these are double 1, I'm not going to fit. Actually, it does. So 6 and 7 does fit. 1 is forced. You see, if I place 1 and 2, which is kind of the next set of minimum digits I can do, where these two add up to 3 rather than 2, well, the 2 would force a 7, and then I've got 3 and 7, that's 10. That's not going to work. So essentially, these have to be double 1 with an optional 6 or 7 for the, essentially, kind of order of magnitude difference. Is that what I'm trying to say? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I've kind of lost my train of thought. Same logic here. That's got to be 1s. Otherwise, this would be a 7. And then if this is 2, 1, and a 7, that wouldn't be fitting in a single cell. So these two are also 1s. And this is again another 6, 7. And this is again another 8, 9. That's not a 1. You got a 1 looking at it. So that's at least a 2, which forces at least a 7, and this makes it a 9. So that's 2, that's 7, that's 9. That gives me an 8, which forces a 6 to make this add up. And we clearly have more than a break-in at this point. Fantastic. No, for a second I was about to say, oh no, same logic. That's a 1 looking at this cell, so that's got to be 2. That would have to be 7 because it's still a German whisper line. That is another 9, which gives me another 8 and another 6. It's lovely to have kind of same logic applied a couple of times to give us all of these. Now let's just think about this one. You can see that this is not the low digit. You can see that it's not 1. That part is obvious. And then the next one along would be a 2. But then the 7 is not available. Neither is the 8, neither is the 6. So that would be at least a 9. So that has to be the low digit, and this is the high digit. And this is clearly a high digit. I don't know if I'm actually going to color non-German whisper lines. I don't think I'm going to bother. Right. This is, 1 and 6 actually works. So this could be 1, 2. 2 obviously forces everything. This could be 6 or 7. It can't be 8, even if that's a 1. And therefore, this is 7, 8, or 9. Not brilliant in terms of choices. What about in here? Again, this can't be the low digit because this is 1 or 2. This would require this to be 3 or 4, which is not going to work to fit in a single cell sum. And I think this is forced to be a 6. Now, technically, I can have a 1 with an 8. And I can certainly have 2 in here with a 6. And the minimum now, oh, actually 7 and 8 means that was never an 8. That is 6 with 1 or 2 to get to 7 or 8. And then this is 1, 2, or 3 because it's still a German whisper line to get to this cell. And this could be anything. Let's have a look at this arrow. Same logic with the 1. Actually, that 2 gave me a 1. Come on, sleuth. 7. Not 1. It's got to be 2 because it's a German whisper line. There you go. Same logic, 1 and 2. That can't be 3 or 4. Otherwise, it would require 8 and 9, and then I wouldn't be able to make this work. So this is 1 or 2 with 6 or 7. And yes, it can't be 8 because that can't be 9, so I can't do 8 and 1. And then the minimum again in here means this is 7 or 8. Lovely stuff. And that is all the silent shafts, so to speak. This is 3 or 4. It could be either. And we're kind of onto Sudoku at this point. Not that it's particularly difficult. We've put down so many 1s. 1 is 1 of 2 cells in here. It's 1 in there, and then 1 of 2 cells in there. Okay. What about 2s? We've done quite a few of those as well. 2s in here. I'm kind of surprised I can't figure this one out. It feels like I've been given enough information that I should be able to. But apparently not. 2s... Okay, 2s are looking a lot less exciting right now. This has 3 or 4, which would require 8 or 9, which this cell cannot be. So that's a 3-4 pair in column 1, and this is 8 or 9. These cells, same logic, 1 and 2, can't be either of these cells, so this is another 3, 4, 8, 9. I don't have the same setup as I did here in column 1 to disambiguate. Am I gonna... how about let's do easier Sudoku first with the 6s. Yeah, 6s and 7s I should probably think about. That's a 2-7 pair here, for example. That gives me a 5 at the bottom, 7s, and we already had the 2s. So yeah, that's solid. I need 3, 4, and 8 in here. 3, 4, no, 6 and 8. 6 is in one of these 2 cells. Excuse me. This is starting to get tricky. This is not 6, 7, or 8. It's kind of pointing towards this being a low digit, the 3 and 4 with the 8 or 9. But it's not quite enough to disambiguate just yet. Two, two. Okay, so this one is another 3, 4, 8, 9. This can't be the 8, 9. So same logic as we saw in column 1, just slightly better disguised. 8, 9 pair in row 5 now. Haven't actually placed that many low digits in row 5, other than the 1. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, which includes a low digit there, which can also be a 2. So this is 2, 3, 4. This can't be 6, but it could be 7, 8, or 9. It gives me a 7, 8, 9 triple. So one of these is a 9. Then I have another 2, 3, 4, and then another 7, 8, 9, and a 5. 7 is in one of these two cells. Not enough information to kind of progress. I mean, obviously there's enough information to solve. Can't imagine this is an unsolvable puzzle, but I need to sort of look elsewhere for a bit. I'm kind of still struggling with why am I not able to resolve these. So I'm sort of gravitating towards spending a bit of time trying to figure out what's going on here. So neither of these could be 1. Kind of not seeing the problems with 2 at the moment. And then of course 3, 4 with 8, 9 also work. Interesting that these two cells add up to 16. I've really gone off piste here. You know, the 6 and 7 and the 1 and 2. And essentially, if this is 1 and 6, this would be 2 and 7, meaning 1 would be 7, 1 would be 9. If this is 6, 2, the other one would be 1, 7, and then it would be a double 8. And it's essentially forced. Interesting, but like it doesn't help me with the solve at all, so I kind of need to focus a bit more. And surely the answer is in Sudoku, if I can focus. Right, let's stick to what's going on with 6s. Not very useful. And 3 cells is just not useful at all, really. 7s. Come on, I'm sure like there's like one cell that will just move this tremendously forward. I just need to see. And then short of that, I'm just going to have to like really heavily pencil mark, which as you can see, I'm trying to avoid. Unsuccessfully, but you know, I'm trying to avoid. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pencil mark these for a second. And these. Just so that I can move on from German whispers and arrow sums and just do a bit of Sudoku without being distracted. That's kind of what the puzzle is demanding right now. So this is 3, 4, 5, or 8. That's just not brilliant. I want to do something to eliminate one of these 3, 4s and 8, 9s. this can't be 2. It's a very odd deduction, because that would be forced to be a 7, and this would be 3 or 4. So 2 is none of these cells. 2 is in here. 2 is in there. No, this is a 1-star difficulty rated puzzle. It shouldn't be this difficult. So I am missing something obvious that I just need to see. Remember how I said, of course, the 6 would always go with the 1, and the 2 will go with the 7 as a result. There was never an option of 2, 6. So 8 was never an option in either of these, and therefore this is the 7, this is the 9, and therefore this is the 1 and 6, and this is the 2 and 7. How about that? 2, 7 gives me 8, 9. That's got to be an 8. That was fairly poorly pencil marked. So this is 2 or 3. Eight, 9 removes 9 from in here. That's the 3, 4. This is the 8, 9. So that's an 8, 9 pair. These 3, 4s don't have to be different. So I can't make an assumption that this 3, 4, for example, is in here. It could well be that these two are the same. But essentially, the remaining digits are 3, 4, 5. 7, 8, 9. Seven, of course, means that's the 7. I'm gonna try and avoid coloring, but it probably will make this a lot crisper for me. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is another low digit, but I can include. And 2s are in here, 1s are done. 6 and 7. 7, of course, gave me 2 and 7 in here. That forces 2 in there. So that's the 2s done, with the exception of the X-wings. Then the 7s. That's a 7. That's a 7. 6s. Actually, that's 6. I think that's the 6s done as well. Excellent. Right. 3, 4, 8. Let's look elsewhere for a second. What else am I missing? 2 or 3 works. 2, 3, 4 works. 8, 9 in the row. All the high digits, done. So these are essentially 3, 4, 5s, because they can't be 2s. They can't be 2s, yep. And this is another 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not brilliant. This is another 3, 4, 5. That gives me a 3, 4, 5 triple. So these have to be 8 and 9. That's 8, that's 9. And that's another 2, 3, 4, 5. That was there a while ago, had I actually pencil marked kind of row 4, which would have forced this 8, 9 ages ago. Never mind. 8s. 8s are in here. In there. Okay. What about 9s? Oh, 9 gives me, that's not what I meant to do. 8, 1. That is not an 8. That is an 8. That's a 9. That's an 8. That forces this to be a 3. Remember about what I said, that this doesn't have to be the same. So I'm not going to make that mistake. That is not a 4. And we're very nearly done with 8s. We are done with 8s. This is another 3, 4. That's a 3, 4 pair in column 2. That's the 5. That's the 4. This is a 2 because of that 3, and that's a 4. These are not 4s. That's a 3, 5 pair. That gives me a 2 in here. 4. And then that's a 9. That's a 3. That's a 5. Looking much better all of a sudden. We have another 3, 4 with a 5. That's 3 or 5. That's 4 or 5. And this is 3, 4 or 5, except it's another 3, 5. I mean, that would have been easier. That's the 4, 3, 4, 5, 3. Need a 2 in here. I need 3, 4, 5. That can be a 5. That is 3 or 4. We're back to 3, 4, 5s again. In fact, that's a 4 because of the 3 at the bottom, which gives me 3 in here. That's not what I meant to do. 5 in there, 3 in there. That's a 7 that I overwrote. That's another 1. This is 9. Then I need 3, 5 pair. Unresolved for now. 3, 4, and 9. The 9 can only be in here. This is 3 or 4. This is 4 or 5. This can only be a 5 because of that 4, which gives me the rest. And we're very nearly done now. 3, if I've not made any mistakes, 4 for the finish. Beautiful puzzle, really smooth. I mean, I love the silent shafts. That was kind of really good. And then Sudoku, of course, let me down for a bit. Where was it? Where was that? I did say there is... I think it's only when I got onto the 8 and 9s that suddenly I was making progress. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. I'm going to call this a recovery after yesterday's mess. And I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.